And that is honestly how I spend my money, like sensible stuff, like vinyl and hair dye and alcohol. Hi! And welcome to this video. I'm Ida, and today I will tell you my top 10 list of new albums from 2018. And it has been a great year, I think, for new releases. So it was kind of hard to pick my top 10 list. It will be a list that's very much my taste, which is kind of scattered. So I don't think that anyone will agree completely on this list. But that's fine, we can all have an argument in the comments later. But seriously though, I would really like to hear your favorites as well, so tell me what you think about 2018 and this list, and do you have your own or anything like that. I think that would be cool. When I made my list, I had 3 things that I was thinking about. And the first one was obviously the music itself, like, are the songs any good? I think that's given, but yeah, that was the first thing. And the second thing was that I viewed the album as a unit, because I like to think of the album as like a genre, and it's supposed to be a unity, a whole, and not just a collection of songs, because you can get that from any Spotify playlist. So I think that the album itself should be a whole thing. And then my third criteria was how the album kind of felt or how the experience was, because they are material things after all, and I know that the music is obviously the most important thing, but I like to view the whole album as an experience and look at like the designs and the covers and how it feels, you know, when you get it in your hand. Does it spark joy? Now we are going over to the list, and I'm putting this here. So my first album on the list is MUDHONEY with Forever Neverland, and this is a great example of someone in the pop genre that utilizes the album genre in a good way, in my opinion. This has a really cool like circle composition with an intro, and then it comes back to the intro in like the last song. So I think it's really cool and it looks great. And MUDHONEY is a really cool girl. I feel like she's the Danish version of Miley Cyrus in a way. Not always in terms of music, but how she is as an artist, you know. So you should check her out if you don't know her. MUDHONEY in Danish and partly Norwegian means girl or maiden, perhaps more like an old word for maiden. And the is an actual letter that we use in Norway and Denmark, so it's not just a stylistic way of writing an O. Many great songs on this album as well. Sometimes her like tropical beat gets too tropical for me, that's not really my style, but there are some songs on this album that I really like and I've been listening to it a lot. The next album on my list is this. It's LUSH by SNAIL, and this is the last album that I bought in 2018, so I haven't listened to it that much. I kind of picked it up at a whim when I was at the record store, because I just saw it and it looked so red and cool, and also someone that I follow on YouTube had done a cover recently of SNAIL and I really liked that cover, so I was like, okay, but I will check out this album, and I bought it. It also has this kind of great nostalgia vibe, in my opinion. Maybe it is because she's only 19, so it has this teenage vibe to it, but I don't feel old, which is great. Sometimes when people are really young, it makes me feel old and I don't like it, but in this case, it's fine. She can get to be 19 and this talented. I'm not angry and I don't feel old. I just enjoy the album. It has a great sound, and I think that as a whole it also sounds really good, like together. I haven't explored the themes that much because I haven't been listening to it for a very long time, but I really look forward to listening to this more and follow SNAIL. So yeah, great album for listening to when you have friends over and it's not a party, it's just casual drinking and talking, and you need something that's a good vibe but not too upbeat and just like a nice soundtrack for a nice evening, and that's this album. Next album on my list, it's Pale Waves. Look at this, look how nice it is. Ooh, very epic indeed. I feel like Pale Waves as a band has been balancing on kind of a knife's edge for me when it comes to if I should really like them or not like them that much, if that makes sense. So there are Dirty Hit Band, which is the label of the 1975. A lot of these bands and artists, like the Japanese House or Wolf Alice, they have this like great lyrics to them. So all the songs have a whole quality that is just the lyrics, and I kind of miss that in Pale Waves because sometimes the lyrics just feel like words that fill out for the melody, and also a lot of the times the songs sound kind of similar. And it is kind of funny whenever they release a new song to go to YouTube and to see all the comments, because there's always someone who's commenting on, oh, this sounds just like all their other songs. And then there are some hardcore fans that are like, but it's a sound, they have a sound. And yeah, they have a sound, but I also think that their songs do sound kind of similar. But there's a but. The reason why this album is on the list is actually the last track, which is Carl, I Wonder What It's Like to Die, because I feel that when we come to this last song on the album, it gives us something else. So I feel like there is a new quality there that we haven't seen before, and that makes me really excited for the continued story of Pale Waves. I do hope that they will develop just a little, because it's nice to have a sound and it's nice to have a shtick, and they do that. They do that very well. And I of course enjoy a sound that's strongly developed and a shtick that's really visible. But I hope that they will develop just a little as songwriters maybe. But yeah, it is, as an album, at least a unity of sound. And it has these elements of songs that kind of go into one another and a development throughout the whole album, and also of course the last track, which is really good in my opinion. So yeah, in conclusion, I still like Pale Waves. Tea break. I made a whole can so I can be here forever. Woohoo! Okay, so the next album on the list is Father John Misty with God's Favorite Customer. And this album I listened to a lot after I handed in my master thesis this summer, and I didn't know what to do with my life, so I basically just walked around the Oslo Botanical Gardens listening to this album because I was going to see him live and I wasn't fully prepared. I guess that's why I like it so much, because I have this clear memory of walking in the Botanical Gardens in the summer and listening to this. And I think I read somewhere that Father John Misty is like the 1975 for adults. I don't know if that's right, and I don't even remember where I read it. Maybe I made it up. That could be. But yeah, he writes in a way that is kind of self-deprecating, and he uses himself to tell stories, but I think he does it in a really good way. I think he's a great storyteller, which is why this album is on this list. And he was great live. It was just a great experience, such a great performer, such great stage presence. And so I bought the album on vinyl afterwards, and I have been listening to it a lot more. So yeah, and also this looks really cool. It has these like shiny bits to it. Ooh, very fancy. It's a colored version, so I think I should like show it to you guys. Look how cool. Very cool. I do like colored vinyl. And you can see like on the inside there's this floral pattern. Speaking of material stuff and the experience of buying an album, I do think it counts. Like a little. The next album on the list, I hyped this up a lot in my mind, and it's the Smashing Pumpkins with Shiny and Oh So Bright, Volume 1, No Past, No Future, No Sun. And I was so looking forward to this album. It's sort of a reunion. They call it a reunion, but it's like 3/4 of a reunion. When I got it, I was slightly disappointed, even though it is a good album, but it just felt like something was missing. And not only Darcy, although I felt like Darcy was missing just a bit. Actually, I never thought that she would actually be in this reunion thing, but I did kind of hope that they would bring back Melissa after Mo, although she was only like briefly playing with them on tour in like 2000 I think, after Hole anyway. But I do think that she's really cool and she's a great bass player, and it would have been fun to have a female bass player because I obviously like female bass players. But yeah, that was maybe a bit of a stretch. I do think that the lineup is interesting even without the female presence, and I am going to see them live this year, and I think that will be great. I think that these songs are songs that will be really cool to hear live, but as an album I feel like something is missing from it. It's a bit too short. There are only 8 songs. There could have been a couple of more songs, or the songs could have been longer, or they could have done more with like the different elements. There are some really cool symphonic elements and some heavier stuff, and they could have just gone further with it, I think. So it feels a bit flat in a way, but this is volume 1, so I do hope that there will be a volume 2, and then maybe when that second volume comes it will feel more like it's finished in a way. But yeah, it is a very nice album to listen to, so I'm not complaining very loudly. And also, it looks nice. Look how nice it is. Ooh! And then this is also a colored version. You can look at it, it's so pretty. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see how nice this color is, but if you can, it's really nice, and that makes up for how I feel like it's kind of lacking in some parts. So the 6th album on my list is Alice in Chains, Rainier Fog, and speaking of nice packaging, this is really nice, and when I got it, it also had a little pic inside of this eye thing, which is cool. I'm all about free gifts, so I'm easy to buy. And it has these 2 different sleeve things, which are really nice. Now let's talk about the actual music. So Alice in Chains is known as one of the 4 big grunge bands from Seattle in the 90s. But they were never my favorite grunge band, basically because they're not that grungy. They were mainly just in the right place at the right time. The right place being Seattle and the right time being the 90s. This is not a grunge album at all. Although it is made in Seattle, and the whole Rainier Fog thing is kind of a tribute to Seattle, so I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, in terms of genre, it's more like it's plain rock, if that's allowed to say. I feel like we should always have like a sub-genre, like it's alternative rock or indie rock, but it's just rock, and it's also just really good. All the songs are just really good. They're well written and they sound really great. And if you're into like vocal harmonies, which you know that I am if you have been watching my covers, then this band is like the best thing you can basically listen to. And this is my favorite of the new Alice in Chains lineup, like the 3 newest records. I really like it. I think that for it to have climbed higher up on my list, it should have had more of like a concept to it. Even like a clearer theme or something, but yeah, it's a great album, so if you haven't listened to it yet, you should. Okay, the next album is Digital Garbage by MUDHONEY, another Seattle band. I don't know if everyone will agree on me in putting MUDHONEY over Alice in Chains, but I think it's just like where the personal preference comes in. I just really like MUDHONEY, and I have been listening to MUDHONEY for a long time. And this album is super cool, in my opinion, because it has this kind of zeitgeist thing going on, and it can very easily be awkward or you can imagine it to be awkward with like grown-up dudes who are making a punk-ish grunge album about digital garbage in social media and how the world is basically fucked. But I think they do it really well, and it's not awkward. It is spiteful and sarcastic in like a perfect mix, so it just really works. And we can look at it, look how nice it is. Ooh, very cool. And this is also a colored record. I'll show you. Can you smell the freshness? Ooh, so cool. And being such a big wannabe grunge girl, seeing the Step Up logo just makes me really happy. So yeah, really cool album, and it is the biggest like concept album of MUDHONEY yet, at least the way I experience it. Great grunge heritage. Try saying that 10 times fast. And Melvins also came out with a new album this year. I didn't include it on my list, but it's also pretty cool. So grunge is not dead. Then we have album number 8. So this is Trench by 21 Pilots. I have had a problem before with the cultural appropriation of using the as an O, but yeah, in this album I actually get it, because it is the whole thing, and that's why this album is on this list and why it's so high up, because it is such a good concept and it has so much work put into it in terms of the themes and like the storylines. This could be a whole dystopian young adult novel. I think it actually should be a dystopian young adult novel, and I just really enjoyed reading about it and finding all of the signs and being like, ooh, this is just so well made. I just really appreciate how much work has been put into this, and I also finally appreciate the use of the because it's not actually an you can read all about it if you Google some things. I'm not going to go into it now because that would make it a really long video, but I recommend you check out some of the sources that has written about this album and its concepts if you haven't seen it already. And also in terms of the music, it's pretty good. It's just so many hits after one another that you think that can they come up with any more, and then they can, and it's just it's really cool. Best 21 Pilots album yet, so I'm happy. Let's have some more tea, shall we? Look how I match with my yellow mug. It was not intentional, but we can say it was if you want to. My next to the top album this year is MITSKI, Be the Cowboy. I love MITSKI, you all know that, and this album is great. She has taken her sound a bit further because she used to be more of like a nostalgic 90s girl-ish, and this is more sophisticated in terms of sound, and I think it's so cool how she makes everything sound so simple, or they sound more sophisticated obviously, but you think that this is straight pop and straight melodies, and then you try to play it, as I have done on some occasions, and then you realize that this is actually really complex. So yeah, great songwriting, and also her lyrics are so good, so I really enjoyed this album. The reason it's not at the actual top of my list is because I think she could have utilized the album genre just a little bit more, but it's great. All the songs are wonderful, and I will be seeing her live again this summer. I've seen her in like a really small concert stage that's basically like a bar, when she played some of her older stuff, and that was really cool, and it really fit her older sound. And now I'm going to see her in the Øya festival in Oslo, and I think that that would be cool to see the differences of how she will be live in that kind of stage. So yeah, very excited. Love MITSKI. Okay, wouldn't it be fun if I had made this whole list and then I didn't include the 1975? But yeah, no, I'm not that cool. So my number one this year is the 1975, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. And basically the main reason why this album is at the top is because I was not disappointed, which is, honestly says a lot. The stakes were really high. Let's just take the negatives first, because there are some negatives here. Firstly, I don't like what they did to the opening track. They have the same opening track on all of their albums, as you might know, and I don't like this version of it, but that's fine. Also, I don't like the kind of layout and design that much, because I do really like the old ones. I think they're really pretty, and I also love that they have this kind of separate imagery for all of the songs. But for this, they don't have anything like that, and I kind of miss it. It's just this plain white cover with these little squares, and then we have this very colorful inside. My favorite thing about this design is the back, where we have these little squares, and it reminds me of how newspapers used to have this color blocking of the colors that they used to print the newspaper. It would basically be black and yellow and magenta and cyan, I think. So this reminds me of that, and it has this cool kind of analog versus digital vibe to it, which is what they are trying to convey in their themes. So that was the run through of what I don't like about this album, and basically I just like all the rest. I think that all the songs are really good. There were a lot of singles, so I had already heard a bunch of these songs before the album came out, and I kind of wish that I hadn't listened to them, but that would obviously not happen. But if I had listened to this whole thing with a clean slate, then I think that that would have been a really cool experience. But there still were a lot of new things, and one of the things that I do really like about the 1975 albums is the instrumental parts and how all of the songs tie together, and what I talked about with the album as a unity, because I think that they do this really well, and I think it's so fun to see their younger fans that are like teenagers that don't buy albums the way that I bought albums when I was a teenager back in the day. Because I used to buy a lot of albums, and that's not so usual anymore, but I think it's cool that new and cool bands like the 1975 or 21 Pilots really utilizes the album as a form, because that makes the younger fans to pay attention to the album as a whole, and it gives the album genre a new life. But yeah, I think that the 1975 does that really well. And even just something like having an intro track that is the same for all of the albums, or having songs like The Man Who Married a Robot / Love Theme. That's just kind of a narrative in the midst of all of these songs. I think that's really cool, and I love that they incorporate that into their albums, so it's not just a collection of songs, but it is something more, and it tells a story. And I think that all of these songs tie really well together with the theme. I don't know if that was correct English, but I'm getting tired of talking. And it is easy to critique the 1975. People do it to me all the time, but I still think that they are a great band, and that this is a really interesting record, and if you haven't listened to it as a whole, then you really should. And they are coming out with another record this year, so that will be exciting. They're saying that these two are not that related, but I still think that it will be fun to listen to them as a pair in a way. And I am going to see them live this summer, which is also going to be exciting. This is also like a festival concert. It is a festival, in Oslo, that has a more grown-up audience traditionally. So it will be exciting to see how they will play that stage. Yeah, that was my list, you guys. Any questions? No? Okay, cool. I do, however, have more albums in my collection, so I will try to make more album collection videos and to make more random top lists and talk about some of the things that I like, because I really enjoy talking about music that I like. So I hope you thought this was kind of interesting, and let me know if you also know these albums and if you like them, and if you think that I should have put something else on my list, then you are free to say so. I would like to hear your opinions about it. So all that's left to say is thank you for watching. If you're still here, say hi in the comments and like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to see more. I will be doing 2 music videos every week this year, so both Wednesdays and Sundays, mostly covers but sometimes originals, and then I will do the occasional talking and drinking of tea like this video, and that will be happening on Fridays. So make sure that you are subscribed to my channel so you won't miss it. So thank you for hanging out with me, and I hope that you will have a really nice rest of your day. And I will see you soon. Okay, bye! Do, 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 do.